Good morning.
Good
Yeah,
afternoon.
it is. I'm gonna get it right one of these mornings, these afternoons. I'm gonna say it correctly. Well, how are you doing as we're in that
Doing
final
great.
stretch?
I'm doing great. It's the weather is it's really gotten cold.
It,
It
it
feels
has,
like
like today,
mhm,
right? It
yeah,
feels like Christmas.
it does. So the true layers are out and the coats are all
Okay,
out. The scully hats. I haven't pulled gloves out yet. It's not that cold, but yeah.
yeah. But the scarves and the hats, we're
Yep, the
working
scarves
that.
and hats are
Yes.
out. Yeah, yep, yep, yep. How about you?
The same. It's the same. I was in Dallas a couple of days ago, and it was
Um,
70 down there, and I
oh
was like,
wow.
"Yeah." And then it would jump, and then on the way out, coming back in, we come back in. Okay, now it's winter again. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
yes,
yep,
but
yep,
it's
yep.
actually I can 16, 70. That's a cool winter to me. I can work with that. I really can.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was a few years ago, well, about maybe 8 or 9 years ago. I remember it was Christmas. It was like 70 something degrees. I was in New York at the time, and we ate dinner outside. And I said, "Wow, this is crazy."
That is
On Christmas,
crazy in New York.
yes, in New York.
Wow.
So
I
yeah,
cannot believe I can't I'm
so,
trying to imagine 70
mhm,
degrees in December in New York. I
yeah,
That
it
was,
was,
like, really scary. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah.
We are closing out the year. This will be our last show for 2024,
Nice.
and excited about what 2025 is gonna bring, expecting great things and many more people to chat and talk to and see
I
what's
think
going,
people
but,
are talking
let's
about deep
you gotta
breath.
spill the tea a little bit. So you're working on a film. What's
Well,
going on?
I do background acting too. So when I'm here
I
in Tulsa,
cannot.
in Oklahoma,
You
so when I'm
act
in Northern
too?
Oklahoma, I do background acting, and
I
I
love
started back
it.
in college. The money that you can make while you were in school is just all right. Show up on set, fill out the voucher, sit around and wait, or hurry up and wait is what we call it. So I've been doing that quite a while. So when I moved back to Oklahoma back in 2018, when I lost my mom, it was around the time of the film industry boom here in Oklahoma.
Okay.
They had, I don't know if you remember, they had
Yeah,
these
yeah.
tax cuts for film companies and writers and all these different types of programs. Music company, I think is what it's called. And one of the first movies, our first projects, let me see if I can remember. It had to be maybe Reservation Dogs, but I did the costumes for Reservation Dogs. So I did the pilot for that. We shot here. Our base camp, our wardrobe office was at the Promenade Mall, where Sears used to be in the backside. So that was where our office was, and we shot in Oak Mugging.
Oh,
And one of the first projects I worked on here, and then all of the casting opportunities started to come about. There was a movie called 15 Minutes. It's a
mhm.
tornado movie. It's on
Right.
Amazon. And I guess I'm the token black boy in that. So I'm one of the survivors of that. Pretty good camera time. I worked on that just after that GameStop controversy. GameStop did a commercial here in
Okay.
Bixby, and I
Okay.
was one of the five actors in that. And that was like the most money I've made in maybe 5 hours. We shot that in 5 hours, and I was like, okay, this is something. Okay, I'm gonna have to keep with these
This up.
opportunities.
Okay, okay.
And so then I got casted on Killers of the Flower Moon with Martin
Yeah.
Scorsese and Leonardo
Huge.
DiCaprio. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so got casted as a porter, which was a
Mhm.
prominent job for black men back in the early
Right, yeah,
1900s.
certainly.
And then
That was a real
told my
yes, it was.
I told my grandmother, I was like, "Yeah, I got cast in the movie. I'm playing a porter." She was like, "Your grandfather was a porter," and so then I'm learning about what my great uncles and great what their jobs was, and got a chance to look inside their life. I was in full costume. They told me to grow my. Now I'm bald. I've been shaving my head since I was 20, about 20 years old, and so my hair is. I wouldn't be able to grow hair if I tried. It wouldn't be thick. It wouldn't be nice, but men back in the early 1900s had hair. They didn't really have any ball. They didn't rock a bald head. So I had to grow hair for about a month. And I had a hat on top of that, thank God. But I looked real. I looked like I was back in the 20s.
Right.
And it's a really good story. I actually read the book. And I'm not sure if you're familiar. Did you see the film?
I have not, but it is on my to do. I've heard so many great things about it and been in a lot of discussions. So in our kind of break, there are several films that I'm going to binge on, and that is
Yeah,
definitely one.
it's
And I
really
followed from the award shows and knowing some parts of the history. And so I'm really, and now I got to watch it because I'm going to go and be
it's
looking
really
for you.
kind of insane to say, oh well, I'm in a movie that was nominated for an Oscar for
Mhm.
Oscar nomination. Like
That
that's kind of
is,
crazy to
that is
say.
way cool. That is way cool.
I wish I
Yeah.
had a speaking role. Black people weren't a part of the story, but we were running the trains and that was the big transportation. And that was very popular on how was traveling. And so we got a chance to actually be inside an old actual train. I was just I was gawking at the luggage because it was all this just antique brown leathers and box luggage and just very well made, crafted
Mhm.
uh, luggage. And it was just nice to be in Osage County and learning of the story and the struggles that they went through and all the money that they made and all the murders that happened there for their money. I actually, when I remember driving in, I'd have to drive in. I think my call time would be like 6 a.m. and it would take an hour for me to get there from door to door. And so
Okay.
I'd leave at 5 a.m., get there right at 6. But as I'm entering Osage County, each time I could feel something. It was very interesting. I was like, man, like, I don't know what's going on here, but I don't know if I felt the natives or what. And there was a black guy that drove in from Oklahoma City. We looked very similar, so we acted next to each other throughout the day. And I told him about that, and he said, "Man, I was saying the same thing." He was saying, "I was driving in, and as soon as I got here across the border, he got chills, or it was something that he felt on his body." And I was like, "Wow, all right, change the subject." But yeah, I think it's something real powerful there in that county, in that land. I'm actually a landowner of 3 acres in Osage County. Me and my father bought a property back in the 80s, and we used to be hog farmers. And so we still have that land now, but I always thought it was so far away, and it was just right behind the Osage Casino. The Osage County's right there. That's North Tulsa.
That is, yeah, that is
Yeah.
really, as I say, you continue to just blow my mind on all your talents. It just more and more leaks out every time. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I love, love, love that. And as we are kind of recap going through some of the just extraordinary guests that we've had in our short last coming
Mhm.
together for the last few months has just been just amazing. And
It
one of the
has.
key things that has been so exciting to me is just the immense talent, particularly from Oklahoma.
Mhm.
And that we have, but also the things that are happening in Oklahoma that you just go, wow.
Yeah. So
It
much is happening, and it's quite difficult. I guess it's a challenge for ones that want to stay in the loop
yeah.
and ones that are trying to do certain things. Is just where's our community? Just that.
Share a little bit in that coming back. And I know because you've been in New
Huh?
York,
Huh?
you've been in the helm
Yes, so
really
New
in
York
the
was a
industry.
different beast. So New York was, gosh, that was, I guess, I would say probably the prime of my life and career. I doubled as a personal assistant to my cousin R.W. McQuarters, who played
Right.
NFL football giants. We lived in New Jersey, so I doubled as his stylist, as his personal assistant. And then I also was doing freelance styling work in Brooklyn for this model management company. I would do test shoots for different models. I would
Right.
go and literally it would be an hour for each model. I think she would pay me
Excuse me.
$75 to style each hour. And we would get maybe 2 or 3 models a day, and it would
Hmm.
be once a week. and that was like one of my side hustles. My friends, we also we had a boutique, so it was about five of us. It was a collective, and we all had vintage clothing, resale clothing, personal design, distressed and redesigned clothing. We had that in Harlem, in Sugar Hill, and then I was working. After RW retired, I moved to Manhattan, and I started working for Bloomingdale's. Then I started working for Maj, and Zadig Voltaire was one of the other clothing brands that I worked for. And while I was working for Zadig and Voltaire, I met Lindsay Lohan, and I met her at on my friend's jobs. It was a late night club. She's a performer, and Lindsay was actually walking down the steps behind me, and I
Mhm.
felt this energy. I saw a fur out the side of my corner, and I was like, who is this behind me? And I'm like, hey. She said, hey. I was like, you looking for Raven? And she said, yeah. I was like, well, Raven's off tonight. My friend she's in the dressing room, but you can come down if you want. So she came in and she said, I want to put my coat away. And I was like, all right, you can put your coat over here because it was all wardrobe in here. So she knew it was going to be safe.
Right.
And we started talking. We sat down. Told her I worked for Zadig and Voltaire. She was like, "Oh my God!" The designer at the time, I forget the owner and designer of Zadig. She was actually friends with her. She's French. It's a French brand. And we started talking about that. And she says, I'm shooting a docu-series with Oprah, and I need a stylist." And I was like, oh, okay. And she would literally just swap phones and put each other's phone number in our phones. And we're friends ever since. So I was at her house that very next day.
That
Was on her reality TV show. It's
right.
on her own network. I'm on two episodes. I think the last two episodes I'm on. So yeah, you'll see me. I went to China with her, flew with her to her. She received a fashion award. The Sohu
Mhm.
Fashion Awards in Shanghai. So we flew from New York to China, and I was supposed to go back. I was headed back to work, back to Zadig Voltaire, and she asked me if just to come to London with her.
Wow.
And so like,
That really happens. Like, what?
yeah, and so like I didn't know. I was like, okay, do I go back to New York and take care of business? Go back to work, or do I continue on this journey? I chose to go back to New York. I went back to work. I went back to my apartment. I went back home. But yeah, that happened. And then a few years later, I moved back to Oklahoma.
Mhm.
I actually went to England for a month. I was my friend Sasha Allen. She was on tour with the Rolling Stones, and so I would personally dress her and make sure she's looking good when she's off stage and when she's traveling, and just coming in to be a person, because when
Mhm.
you're on tour and it could be draining. You don't have anybody close to you, and so it also is quite fun. And I knew that she needed the grounding, and she was like, come to London. And I was like, okay. And so my sister works for Lufthansa Airlines, and so I just paid
Mhm.
the taxes on my flight. So it I only paid like $200 for a one way. So to get me to Europe, you don't have to twist my arm. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
Kinda will
so
go. Yeah.
so I get there, and I spent the whole month there with them. I went to a few shows. I went to Dublin, Ireland. When I get to Ireland, check into the hotel with her, and she's like, Mick's taking us out to dinner. And so I'm like, what am I gonna wear? Mick Jagger's taking us out to dinner. Okay, I can't believe this.
Mick
This is
Ja
crazy.
okay, okay. It's okay. I love how casual
Only been in
it was
Dublin for
Mick,
5 hours. What's going on here? Yeah, you shut the restaurant down. Me and Sasha take a car over, and it's about 10 of us there, people that are on tour in the production team. Yeah, Mick said to me, he said, I didn't know we were getting dressed today. I wore the biggest hat I could find that I packed. I had to, had to be as fly as I could be. If
and
I'm in dinner
and
with
you'll
Mick Jagger.
always fly, like,
Right.
always.
Yeah.
Just yeah. As your friend Ronnie said, "You always stay ready. You just never
Yeah.
know." Yes, you
Yeah.
just
So,
always stay ready.
yeah.
Speaking of that, we've had when we were saying we're gonna quickly recap some of iconics
Yeah.
that we've had on the show and just
Yeah.
listening to the things that you've done and been able to do, and I'll share a little later things that certainly that I have done and just that pillar of time of how you can really
Mhm.
make things happen. And
Yep.
we had fashion designer Kenya Carter on, who's now taking her brand to a whole nother level with her new designs with shapes. And I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what that's going to uncover as we step into this
Mhm.
next year. We'll definitely be keeping our eyes on her, but just some of the key things that she shared of just that we both can relate to, coming
Mhm.
from the central part of the United States where we
Right.
don't have access to a lot of the industry, to the mentorship, or even
Mhm.
access to, like you said, like knowing where to go, how to even get connected. You really have to
Mhm.
grind and keep your ear to the ground and kind of fall into some things and people who are
Mhm.
doing things. But I'm and looking at that and hearing Kenya start was the
Mhm.
same. She started out, she still is a phenomenal hairstylist, but her passion in design, she just began to pick that up and began to merge the two. And then over a course of time, her brand began to just really take off. And
Mhm.
and start doing shows, you start cultivating a following, but that persistence when you're
Mhm.
in an arena where there's just not a lot going on, but how you stay
Right.
motivated to plow through to, I'm going
Yeah.
to create and make that
Mhm.
takes a lot because you're fighting against, we have a lot of lack of recognition in the industry as a whole, even in the prominent areas, but particularly when you're in the center of the universe where you feel like
Mhm.
it's just me out here. But it's not, and that's what I
Right.
love about what we're doing is building that community where
Mhm.
you do have connection and we can celebrate and encourage one another and also find out that there are opportunities and how you create them. And
Absolutely.
so I love, like, when you're sharing, I'm always just amazed. I'm like, Lonnie, my God, okay.
Yeah.
It's so
And it
refreshing
might
though.
something to just spark my memory, like, oh wow, I did that and that, because it's not on my mind right now. Just it's and I don't know. I guess I can appreciate life. I don't take anything for granted, and I
Right.
pray every day. And I just hope I stay humble. So I try not to be as
Oh, and you are,
boastful
yeah.
about anything. Right?
And you're
Yeah.
not. You're just doing it. And I think of that, even with Kenya has that same kind of spirit. It's
Mhm.
just, you're just doing it. You do what you love to
Mhm.
do. And I was listening and, oh, it was Valerie Simpson.
Uh-huh.
Simpson was on the Sherry Shepherd show and she made a statement yesterday that I was like, exactly. You hear, if you do what you love to do, it's not, you're never working. Because you're doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
And she had said, made a statement. She said, but also when you do what you love to do, it really spurs life. And she said she lives for the goosebumps. And
Hmm.
not, it wasn't about the money, it's how long she can keep the goosebumps. And I said, man, I love, love, love that. Because you
Hmm.
know what? She's willing to, looks amazing. She's still out there doing her
Valerie
thing.
Simpson. Let me tell you something about Valerie Simpson. She's my Kimberly, my best friend that lives in London. Kimberly Nicole.
Okay.
She's like her godmother, and so I get a chance to. I'm in her presence a lot. I get to go to her sugar bar, and she does. And if you get a chance to go to New York, her sugar bar is on the
They were
upper west
talking
side,
about,
and she has a stage, and been there several times. That catfish is great. That catfish is on my mind right now. But she's very supportive. She's been supportive with Kimberly throughout her life. Early since we moved to New York back in the early 2000s, she's always been around and she's always been there for her. And so I know that she's just a great lady, and her kids are cool. I talk and hang out with her kids. But yeah, I it's she's a gem.
yes, and she talked about how she just created that for creators such
Yeah.
as herself to have a place to come and let their hair down and just really relax, enjoy, and have fun.
Uh-huh.
Just not be a celebrity. It's
She's
just
she
that
sits at the
atmosphere.
bar. She talks to everyone. Yeah, she's present. She doesn't. She's yeah. It's
I
surprising. Like
love that.
it's affecting. Yeah.
I love that, and that's one of the things that I'm hoping that we're cultivating and building that community, that access where creators can come from all walks of life globally and just come and
Mhm,
share and be celebrated and celebrate one another and support one another and be that just that spark that encourages people when you're because I'm a true believer when you hear someone's story
mhm,
it ignites fire in you. If you've been sitting on something or if you've been feeling like I'm ready to give up, there will
mhm,
be something that we say or our guests will say that will spur you like, no, that's not an option. You
mhm,
got this. You can keep going. I think of another one of our guests, Tamiqua Whittaker
mhm.
of King Queen's Kisses,
Uh-huh.
developing her
Yes.
lip care line that spurred from being a hygienist in a dental
Mhm.
office and seeing a need and how
Yep.
I can apply that skill and then created a product. And it's just it makes you think how many times we can see something or have an idea, but we don't mmove on it. And
Mhm.
hearing her story and watching what she's doing and cultivating, and you just I applaud. It's just that is
It's
that gives
inspiring.
me
Yeah.
goosebumps. I get the
Yeah.
goosebumps off of everybody's story. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
I love that so much, and then we've had creator Tiara Crawford with
Mhm.
Strut Fashion Play,
Yeah.
novel.
She's
She
never stopped. She's been just
never
very
stopped.
consistent and yeah.
But all the naysayers, I've watched her plow through so much but just stayed on the grind. And myself, you, it's just eye on the prize. And it's you do have to put those blinders on. And I feel like when God gives you a vision and when he tells you to do something, you just
Uh-huh.
have to grind and get really focused. And I watched her do that, particular with Strut, with the fashion play and
Mhm.
developing that concept. And now she's in multiple cities and
Mhm.
celebrating 20 years, which is crazy. It's wow, can it be 20 years?
Yeah.
But that persistence and what it takes. But when you think about young people or anyone, you don't have to be young, anyone that you have a dream, you have a desire, you have a talent, move on
Mhm.
it
Yep.
because your gifts will make room for you. But it does take movement. We just
Effort.
have to,
Mhm.
and doors will open. They will definitely, I believe that God will open up windows
Yep.
and blessings will overflow. You just got to be willing to not be afraid to fight and push in there.
Yep. I agree. Yep.
Do you have big plans for as we're hitting that Christmas break? Are you going to go away and recoup? What are we doing?
I'm staying here. I will be here through the new year, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna go to Atlanta sometime in January and help my friend out with her boutique there. I'm also a consigner there. I'm gonna go see what my inventory is looking and maybe bring some stuff home back to Oklahoma that hasn't sold this past year.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you have a boutique there?
So I helped my friend. There's an art gallery in
Okay.
the west side of Atlanta called the Echo Street Art Echo
Okay.
Contemporary Art Studios, and it's open every day. There's booths and there's different artists there. The way it's set up, it's almost as if you can have your any type of business there can make it work. And so we use the space as like a showroom slash store. We do fashion shoots and work on movies and stuff in Atlanta. We will use our clothing and our wardrobe for our base when we do have a wardrobe and we need clothing. So we decided she wanted me to help her open this up. Had this dream, this idea, and I've always wanted to do it too. When I moved to Atlanta last year, I helped her just get it together and get it going. And it's been a year, and she just had a baby, and so I'm just gonna go and touch base and see my old stomping grounds and take care of some business.
Yes, that is
Doing that.
awesome. That's and certainly, hopefully, we can connect. I feel such synergy with, particularly with Atlanta. It's just
Yeah.
so much happening and
Mhm.
cultivating out of
Mhm.
there. It's crazy. It's hard to even keep up, but I love Atlanta as well. And I've been chatting online with podcasts that's Facts Porcupine. and while we're talking, we're going back and forth, and he was just sharing about a organization we need to check out, and I'm not sure if you're familiar of it. It's called Seed in Brooklyn. Have you heard of that one?
Mm-mm.
And I was telling him we would definitely check it out. He said a gentleman that he does a lot with black brand designers and it's doing some really amazing things there and has a space there. So I know you trek to Brooklyn, you get to New York as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that and would love to reach out to him as well. So shout
Okay.
out to Facts Park Porcupine Podcast for reaching out and talking with us this morning and sharing that information because we definitely will check that out. I know we're going to be getting ready to come to a close. I'm sad about that. Did you see Ronnie's? Before we go, did you check out your boy
So
Ronnie
I'm gonna
Greene's movie?
watch it on Christmas. That's what
Oh,
I'm
you
gonna
did
do.
say that.
I'm
You did
I'm gonna
say
watch my Christmas movies on Christmas.
that. Okay.
Because
Okay.
I plan on being just relaxed and in my zone. I think I'm gonna order some Chinese food and just
Okay.
relax. That's my plan.
You
Yep.
know what? It is about it is that time for reflection. I believe
Hmm.
in that
Yep.
and self-care
Yep.
and then just that whole thought
Hmm.
process of you've got to bring it down to be able to build it back up. So as we get ready to step into 2025, have that
Hmm.
time to recoup and we've got to refill that cup so we can be ready to
Absolutely.
hit it and running and you are definitely always running. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I try to rest
And
whenever I can.
yes, yes, but that is a really great movie, and for those that have not seen it, it is on Lifetime. It's called A Very Merry Beauty Salon, and
I
it
bet
is a
it's
great
funny.
it really is. It's a great film, and his designs, the designs throughout the show, and listening to him talk about how you build that, and you know that because you do costume design. I was watching it from a different eye this time, looking
Yeah.
at the movement of the clothing, and I
Hmm.
loved it. Was like, wow, that's a whole
Hmm.
thing when you look at everybody's individual character and how you have to
Yeah.
capture that and how it
Uh-huh.
plays into the film and it's great. Imma actually watch it again, right around the holidays. It was really good, but I'm now going back and looking at some of his other movies, the one he did with
Hmm.
Patti LaBelle called
Uh-huh.
Noelle. So
Uh-huh.
I was like, "Okay, this weekend, this is my build up to Christmas Eve." I
Hmm.
just binge out and just go Christmas movie crazy.
Yeah.
But, looking forward to enjoying that time as well, but it again, I encourage everyone, it is a great holiday movie. There are a lot of them out there, but definitely check out
Mhm.
and look at his designs because we wanna keep talking about all the great things that and opportunities that are there that we can tap into, people you
Mhm.
can tap into to spur your dreams and make it those connections happen.
Mhm.
But I know this week's show will be a little bit we're gonna be cutting it a little shorter on today, but we
Mhm.
are so excited about ending the year on such a positive high note. We thank
Yes.
everyone who's been hanging with us and
Thank
tuning
you.
in, and we look forward to the many newcomers coming into sharing with us as we get ready for 2025.
Mhm.
And please, all creators out there, if we're not
Mhm.
talking about you, let us know because we want to talk about you. So we're wishing everyone a very happy holiday and a fabulous new year.
Thank you all so much. Happy
Thank
holidays.
Happy holidays. You all have a great day. Talk to you in the new year.
All right. Happy
All right.
holidays.
All right. Happy holidays.